Welcome back to the Humble Market Timer YouTube channel. Once again, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Today's video, I want to discuss Bitcoin and look at some of the disturbing and bearish chart patterns that are forming on the chart. Now, I've been a crypto bull, but I'm starting to believe the bull run is finally over. Before I go any further, here's my disclaimer. Once again, these are my sole ideas, not investment advice. Now, we've been under pressure. When I say we, I mean Bitcoin has been under pressure. There's been a lot of selling. A lot of whales have been dumping, and a lot of people have been taking profits over that $100,000 mark. We've recently had a couple of breaches below 100,000, but we have quickly recovered, and now we're right back below 100,000 once more. But I really want to look at some very disturbing patterns that I think are forming on the chart that's making me very hesitant in thinking that the bull run can continue. Now, one of the first things I want to show you is, and I've talked about this many times on my channel, oftentimes tops, major tops in bull runs occur when we have an M-top pattern. And what you are now seeing, if you look closely, is this action here is very, very, very M-topish. That has typically been the trigger for much bigger moves down. This is the weekly chart. When you start seeing those M-top formations, typically that means you're going to see a lot of downside. So that's one thing. Next, I want to look at, you have, and I also talk a lot about symmetry on my channel. If you notice, every time Bitcoin has had a major rollover, oftentimes that rollover hasn't occurred when there has been symmetry on the chart, where the move up oftentimes mirrors the move down. You can see it here, where we had very clear action, where we had a move up here, then a dip, then a move up, then some consolidation, and then a move down, and then a dip up again, and then back. Notice the move up mirrored the move down. Also, let's look over here at this action. We had this move up here, down, up, and then the roll over here, bounce right back to the area similar to where we had on the way up, and then down. Again, symmetry. When you have that symmetry on the way up and you start to see symmetry on the way down, that is the sign that you're going to have a much larger pullback. Now, looking at where we are now, you can see here, I mentioned the M-top, but more importantly, I want you to start paying attention to symmetry. We had a move up here, then down, then up, and this is the M-top, and then we're moving down again, part of the M. The way this is setting up, we may hit this area down here, that 94 area, get another bounce up to a similar point just below that 110, that 107 to 110 area, where we have had struggles in the past, looking at it really past year, we've had struggles. We had a breakthrough up here, but for the most part, we have had struggles. As you can see, we hit a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. I think we'll have, this will represent sort of the Christmas rally. And there'll be that last head fake where the bulls believe that we are going higher, and then we retest this trigger area down here, and then if we break it, we're going all the way back down here to 74. This is what the chart is screaming. Do you see the symmetry going up versus the symmetry going down? When you see these types of patterns, that typically is indicative of the end of the move, and it's indicative of tops. I think this line too also sort of will start to represent sort of that 50-week moving average, where generally when Bitcoin breaks below the 50-week moving average and we get open and closes below the 50-week multiple times, that typically signals the end of the bull run. But typically you always get one more push up. You typically get one more push up to retest that 50-week moving average before you get another rollover. And if you, again, looking at the symmetry, look how we came up here, and I'm predicting the possibility that we retest this line up here, and that line will line up pretty closely with this area. Do you notice the symmetry once again? This had symmetry here, and then even more symmetry here. So again, you're setting up for a retest of this line, get another rejection, and then you're trying to see if it can hold that 74 once more. If it can't, then I believe you're going to work your way all the way possibly down to this line, which puts you in that 45,000 to 50,000 range. So again, you hate to see the bull run in, but there are some really negative formations forming on this chart. I do believe there's going to be opportunities to get out in that December when we have a push in part of that Santa Claus rally, which we often get, but I don't think we'll make new highs. I think we'll stall out once again in that 107 to 110 range, and then we'll drop back down, and then I think we'll lose that 50-week moving average for good. I think we'll retest it, and I think this bounce here, if we do hit 74,000, if you trade it, you could get a pretty nice bounce back to maybe even 100,000, but I don't believe it will hold, and I think we'll roll over once again and retest that 74, and if that doesn't hold, we'll then go down to the $50,000 to $45,000 range, in my opinion. Last thing I want to mention, typically Bitcoin has topped in fourth quarters. You like to see a big top, but technically it has topped in the fourth quarter. It topped in October, which is the fourth quarter, in at 125, 126 range. Typically, when Bitcoin has a top, it typically takes an entire year for a bottom to occur. So you could possibly see this action trend down lower until we get to that October of 2026, where we have another bottom. It'll be a year removed from the 126 top, and that could start the bottom of the bear market and start the beginning of the bull market once again. Also keep in mind, looking at the RSI, I think we're in this downtrending RSI now, and Typically, you don't see bounces in Bitcoin until you hit the 30-ish or lower area, and that puts you at the bottom portion of the parallel of the RSI. We're a good ways away from there, so you could be on the lookout for a potential move lower all the way back down to the bottom of this parallel to finally get that bottom in Bitcoin before we have another move. Hope you like the content. I think there'll be some bounce opportunities. I think we'll actually get a bounce at 94 if we dip to that area. I think we're coming to that area soon. And I think we can bounce possibly to that 107 range, 108 range once again. And then I think we roll over. And eventually I think we're going to be headed for that 75,000 and potentially lower. Again, hope you like the content. If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.